today I have something to show you that I've made and I've worn and I actually quite like. Hi everyone, I'm Hales and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you something that I've made and it's a bit of a shock because I've worn it out twice and that must mean that I actually like it rather than making something and it's just hanging in my wardrobe and I'm embarrassed. So on with the pattern, which is Butterick 6621. Now there's three options and it's this version here because the tie is at the side. The version down here has the tie at the front, but I quite like the side one. I didn't want the bulk at my tummy area because a lot of people who've had children find that's where they put their weight on. I have put on a few pounds. I want to disguise that. I will eventually lose it because I'm in a bit of a cycle here, but in the meantime I want something that's comfortable. Now I've made items lately which have been woven fabric, and if I don't get the fit right, especially like the trousers that I tried to make recently, it just feels tight and uncomfortable or it's too big. So I thought I'm gonna go for something with a stretch fabric, and I haven't done anything for a while and I thought I'd try a different pattern. So I thought I'd just go ahead with the Butterick one. I quite like the side view and I thought it would be a good option for winter, so I went with the long sleeved version and I've worn it out to cinema and out to a meal where sometimes restaurants can be whopping up their air conditioning and it can be a bit chilly, and so rather than having to wear a dress and then put a cardigan over the top which doesn't match, I've worn this just as long sleeves and it's kept me really comfortable. I haven't got too hot and I haven't been cold, so I'm quite amazed, and anyone who's been watching this for my vlog for a while will be amazed along with me that I actually wear something and I've made something that I'm proud of and I actually like. And it's my first time making this pattern. So I had a cotton jersey fabric which I bought locally in store, so you may be able to buy this fabric online, I'm not sure. I think it was, from memory, I think it was about £13 a metre, and I do find with cotton jersey that is a little bit more expensive than like a viscose jersey, but obviously it's thicker. Now the trouble with this pattern is that it calls for, obviously you've got your ties, but it says on the, I'll read it out here, it says view B and C, so this is view C, ties are single thickness, wrong side of fabric may show. Well, if I take you back to that, I mean the cotton jersey is white on one side and patterned on the other, so having it one-sided at that tie I just thought would look really bad and will spoil the look of the dress. So I'm going to step back, I'm just going to change my camera angle so you can see, when I'm going to talk you through the dress so you can see what I'm talking about, that I made a slight alteration. So this is where I made the alteration. Now it has the tie, so as you can see, so it's white on the inside. Now this tie here, this should be, that's the outside of the fabric, that should show as being white. But what I actually did was I cut two pieces of that. So this, I'm probably camouflaging myself now. So this tie here, it says just to do a narrow hem all around the outside, but by doing that, in this particular fabric on a printed jersey, you're gonna see white. Obviously if you have perhaps a thinner jersey, like a viscose jersey, you probably have that pattern on both sides or some kind of pattern on there, but with this one I don't want to see that as like half, when it's tied, half white and half not. So I had enough fabric to cut one more of these, so literally just sewed them together, right sides together, trimmed the seams, turn them the right side out, and then it's gathered. You're not going to see it because of the pattern. It's gathered slightly and then put into the side, into the waist there. So then both sides is fine. Now because this is quite a large panel, I unfortunately did not have enough material. I think I had 2 meters of this fabric. I think it's 150 centimeters wide. So had I got 2.5 meters, I'd probably have enough to cut out another panel, and then I could have completely done the same, and then so that would be the same on both sides. So instead, if I hold it out like this here, you can see the pattern bit here. This is how much fabric I had. So with the tie, that now has the same fabric on both sides, and then kind of made it into a bit of a facing, overlocked it, and then, I mean, it's really narrow and it has curled over a bit, but it doesn't curl over, there isn't enough of it to show over the seam line. But yeah, so just went all the way down there and then enclosed that in the hem. So when I tie it, I just have to make sure that any of that like facing bit is not poking out, and it's all kind of lining up straight, and then tie. And so the good thing is, because it's tied there at the waist with the gathers on one side, when you tie it, it's bringing it up, so you get that nice like ruching effect on the stomach, which I find is quite flattering. If you do want to disguise that area, something with a bit of gathering, it just detracts. And if I undo it, so I cut a 14 at the bust based on the actual measurements, because it's hard to say when it's a knit. They don't really give you finished measurements because it probably depends on the kind of stretch that you have in your fabric. So I went with a 14 on the sleeves and the bust area, and then the pattern I had was from a 14 to a 22. So I graded out to an 18 at the waist and the hips based on the waist and hip measurement, not finished measurements, but actual measurements. Bust 14, waist and hips 18. This is, I mean, kind of loose, I guess, like when it's quite, you know, there's room in there, but when you then just tuck that bit in there, you can tie it as tight or as loose as you like. So you could, I mean, that isn't then falling straight at the bottom, so it's pulled up a little bit, but that just brings in the back nicely, and runaway chair, and it just brings in the side, so it just gives it nice shape all around. I'll move my hair out of the way so you can see the neckline here is quite a wide neckline, but not wide enough that it shows bra straps, so it still disguises that. I didn't use a twin needle because I found when I used a twin needle on a skirt recently, the stitching popped and it came undone, so it just drives me nuts. But I use a zigzag stitch. If you look closely, my machine, I don't know if that's going to focus close enough, but it didn't come out as a zigzag. It came out as like some kind of funny stitch, like it hasn't quite, my machine hasn't quite coped with it. Too thick perhaps, I'm not sure. But I've been so conscious about not stretching out necklines, because I have had a couple of like the Bettine dresses, a couple of those that I've made recently, they have stretched out the neckline, so I was really conscious to not stretch this one out. And I started to sew on my overlocker, and I had enough of that overlocker, so it just chewed up, because I found that when I was doing a 4-thread overlock, the seams were getting wavy, so I thought I would try a different setting as on the differential feed. So I got my manual out and I adjusted it so it wouldn't be as tight, or yeah, not as tight I don't think, but then it didn't feed the fabric through enough, and then it just jammed about 3 times, so I had to cut it off. The neckband, because I was just sewing the ends of the neckband together before then putting them on here, because I do quite like the nice finish then you get on the inside, but it was just chewing it up, and I was having to push it through the overlocker, which I don't normally have to do, but obviously it's the setting I'd put it on, and then it's still coming out a bit wavy and it all kind of like misaligned. So I went back to my trusty sewing machine and did it on the stretch stitch that I've got on there and sewed the whole thing up on that. So I've done a couple of the seams on the overlock, like the sort of facing bit, but then that's it. So it's not that pretty on the inside around the neckline, but it doesn't stick out because I didn't overstretch it, so it just sits there, and I think it's fine. I mean, I perhaps could have even made it a bit smaller around there. And with the cuffs, I've literally just done a zigzag on there as well, nothing fancy. You can't see it, it's a pattern fabric, it's quite disguised anyway. I haven't actually pressed the seam on the cuff, which I probably need to do just to set the stitching in on the cuff, but everything else has been pressed and done. And I made it last Saturday. I cut it out a few days ago and then cut it all out, and then sewed it all together on the Saturday and wore it out that evening to the cinema with my husband, and he quite liked the look of the dress as well. So I would recommend this pattern. It's really good. I haven't made a great deal of Butterick patterns, and everyone's like singing the praises of the indie patterns, but I bought this in a recent sale, so I got it as a cheaper price. Thought I'd just go for it, and I really like it. I don't know if I would go with the knot one or the one at the front. I might just do this same version again, but perhaps with a 3/4 length sleeve in a stripe or something like that. But I think this is a really good pattern for anyone wanting to try it. If you enjoyed this video and you're not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in my next video.